are live, and we are just going to listen to the sea for a bit. See a little boat pass by in the distance. But it is dawn. There's another boat. And you can see it. Really small. Looks like a fisherman, maybe. Fisherman. Anyway, I trust you're doing all right this morning. And I'm about to get on screen because it is time to start streaming this morning and to have a little chat and conversation. Hey there, friends. Let's see. A seat and a slightly closer up of me. Maybe that works a little bit better for the talking videos. I'm not sure. Maybe that works a little bit better. Sound seems to be working. Chat is on. And for whoever wants to drop by, we can have a little conversation. You can ask me any questions you want about health and fitness, or specifically my health fitness journey at 41. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old. And I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I hit about 7 hours every night. On holiday, that's because bedtimes shifted slightly. We go out in the evening, we relax, we have dinner, we have fun. The kids like to play around, so naturally we get back to the hotel late, but everyone tends to fall asleep relatively quickly. My watch says anywhere between 7.5 and 6 hours and 45 minutes. I'm going to assume I'm hitting 7 regularly on the night, which I think is very important just for general health and well-being. 8 would be ideal, 9 would be perfect, but to get 9 hours of sleep, I would need to be in bed by 7 p.m. And there's no universe in which that is going to happen. 8 might be, between 8 and 9 might be possible, but usually it's closer to 8:30 to 9:30. And I give myself some time to unwind and fall asleep. But there are just things that need to happen between 5 p.m. and 8:30, 9 p.m. That I cannot escape no matter how much I would like to try. So the realities of life. 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I try to mind what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance, which is about 21 to 2200 calories on any given day. I do that because I want to maintain the same weight. I want to exchange some soft tissue, some fat for muscle mass over time. And I am not interested in gaining weight in soft tissue. So I would like to, in fat mass, if I gain weight, I would like it to be muscle mass. So to that end, I also have certain trainings that I do. I try to eat sufficient protein to support my strength and muscle building goals. And I try to eat a lot of greens and vegetables, a lot of variety in colors and different kinds, because there are a lot of good nutrients in there that I would like to get into my body in order to stay healthy and fit. I show up for strength training. I show up for strength conditioning training, I show up for conditioning training, I show up for endurance training, I show up for HIIT training, I show up for mobility training. There are many different training modalities that I will show up for and that I will try to incorporate in my week to maintain a general sense of health and fitness. On top of that, I try to spend time with people I love and care about. I try to do things that I generally enjoy, like making streams, creative storytelling. I have hobbies that I invest in that I try to master and get good at. I try to be a useful part of the communities that I am a part of. And I generally try to live a stress-free life. So if any of that is interesting to you, then we can have a general conversation about what health and fitness actually is in today's day and age, the challenges that we are facing, and overall the um, the routines and habits that we would like to develop. Call them systems, if you want to call them systems, that we would like to develop through our lives over time to stay healthy and to stay fit and to stay active and adventurous throughout life, because there is a lot to do here, and it would be such a shame if we don't get to experience all of that in life. Paul Barbudo, thank you for saying hi. I hope you're doing well, and I hope life is treating you well wherever you're at. It is 6:33 a.m. where I'm at in the morning. Dawn is about to break. Might be a bit dark on the stream still, but be very welcome, and I appreciate you dropping by and saying hello. And I wish you a good start of the day or end of the day, depending on where you're at in the world. I'm going to miss coming out here in the mornings when I get back to my kitchen and have to walk all the way to the forest at dawn for that fresh air. But this has been great, and it's going to be great for another week. I'm actually now on holiday, which is nice. So I was working the week before, working remote, which I'm grateful for, to have that flexibility. And now we are here and we can actually have this conversation about health and fitness. I always like to say that this is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I think that's important. I think the moment we let go of the way we think we should look, which requires a specific kind of training and a specific kind of diet and a specific kind of grind, to try to reach a sort of an aesthetic appearance, we can start to focus on how movement, sleep, nutrition, recovery, connection actually all factor into to health, fitness, and longevity, which is something I'm more and more interested in as I turn 40 than I maybe was when I was 20 and 30, when everything just kind of seemed to work and do what was required. And I'm just noticing more and more that, I don't want to say things are getting harder, but I'm noticing that in order for me to actually keep up with the demands of life, staying healthy and fit, getting sufficient sleep, eating well, is more and more important, and balancing that with joy and pleasure and all of the fun things that life may or may not have to offer. Like last night we had sangria cava with dinner, which was sweet and delicious, but obviously having alcohol before dinner, despite having had an incredibly active day, with workout in the morning, workout in the afternoon, a lot of walking around town throughout the day, um, throughout the evening, is um, still going to affect the quality of sleep, but it is also a nice social moment in the evening over dinner. And we had a very pleasant evening. It's nice to see, where the kids grow into behaving better and better at the dinner table. But all of that set aside, right? This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. And I think once we start to focus on how we feel rather than what we look like, a couple of things are going to happen. First of all, our looks are going to change because we're going to probably lose some weight, we're probably going to put on some muscle, we're going to start to look like we move, work out, and are athletic. And then we also start to realize after a while that the ideals that we are presented with through media are not unobtainable, but the amount of time and effort, dedication, grinding that goes into actually obtaining and maintaining a physique that looks a certain way, but also the unreality of it is that I've been walking around the beach and around the swimming pool and around town. Maybe 1 in 1,000 people looks like that on the beach or in public, and not even, right? Because there's also a lot of photo shooting, lighting, makeup that goes into creating specific kinds of looks. So we can let go of that, and we start to see that we, through movement, activity, sleep, nutrition, connection, investing in ourselves and in others, investing in the things that make us human, actually start to do better overall. We become healthier. And when we are healthy, we also carry that aura of health around with us, and we just look different, we behave different, and we are maybe a bit more in tune with what works for us and what doesn't work for us, and how good life can be without having to focus on what other people think about the way we look, because there is something about the way we look that we look at ourselves and think, maybe I would like that to be different. But there's also this obsession with, well, what do other people see when they look at us? And we can just let that go. And we can let that go and leave it for what it is, and understand that health, fitness, and longevity is about the way we want to feel. It's about the things we want to be able to do in life. It's about being able to go through life and honestly be capable, be competent, be strong, be able to deal with stresses, be able to pull our own weight, be able to perform and deliver whatever the challenge is that is presented to us. And all of those things have nothing to do with our looks. They have everything to do with how capable we've made ourselves to deal with life. And that brings me to the point of today's video, which is, this is tedious. We need to have a little conversation about consistency and about actually doing slow stuff and doing slow stuff over longer periods of time consistently. And the reason I think we need to talk about that is because, well, there are actually a couple of different reasons why we need to talk about that. One is, I think sometimes people go in too hard, they burn out, and then they stop and they say, well, this doesn't work. And I've been at this now steadily for 2 years, right? And the only thing I can say is that the consistency over the 2 years of showing up almost every day and doing something related to my health and fitness has paid off cumulatively over time. So sometimes we go in too hard. Sometimes we get caught up in the trap of fads and trends that in general maybe there's nothing wrong with what they propose or how they present the results we might get, but the activities themselves are maybe not geared towards health and longevity and general fitness. The activities themselves um, may not be sustainable over the long run, given that maybe you're prone to injury with certain types of activities. They are too intense, too heavy, or um, they are simply not right for you as a person. So there's something to consider there. And maybe as a third thing is that we need to strike a balance between the things we enjoy and the outcomes that we're after. As health and fitness is very personal, and I enjoy a lot of things. I also don't mind a little bit of a grind, like I've been getting up on the Stairmaster and the treadmill this week every day, 30 minutes in different modalities. But the reason for that is that I have a very specific goal in mind, and given that my back has been somewhat injured and I'm not able to lift weights or do a lot of high impact things, the lower impact training modalities are what are helping me to stay on track and still move towards those goals. So we've got a bit to unpack here, but the act of training itself can be a bit tedious, and I don't mean training in a sports team where you're training for competition. There's a social component, you're working together and having a good time. We're talking about the training in the gym, the grind with or without a buddy, showing up and doing your sets, doing your repetitions, and moving through the motions while also pushing yourself to perform at a certain level where you know there is some adaptation and some change in how strong, how fit, how durable your body actually, how conditioned your body actually is. What we, I think, sometimes underestimate is how big of an impact low intensity, steady state cardio can have on our health and fitness. And I've been at this now for a month, walking every day for 30 to 60 minutes, more than that for the last 7 days here on this island, on this vacation. And it is just incredible to see that despite not being able to lift as heavy as I was before, despite not lifting that frequently, by managing the inputs, the foods that I eat, but also the general level of activity, keeping that more or less the same as in the amount of energy expended throughout the day, maybe even using a bit more because of the overemphasis on just movement and activity, have led to me staying generally fit and healthy for the last month. And I know how quickly this can change, because over Christmas, so between from December 1st through December 31st, I got myself a PlayStation. It was a game that I'd wanted to play the whole year. So I decided to get the PlayStation and then play that game. There's a huge butterfly buzzing around here, which is nice. And what happened was I started to sleep less, I started to eat more, and I started to move less, and I put on quite a bit of weight over the course of that month, which took me 2 or 3 months actually to get rid of afterwards. And that additional weight went against my, ran counter to my long-term health goals of maintaining a steady weight. But the change there was the opposite. And the same thing happened a year ago when I had my slight neck herniation in the neck, that I got so demotivated that I chose to move less and less. And again there, you saw that my weight increased, the level of activity dropped, I started to eat different. A lot of the anchoring behaviors of my health and fitness journey were gone for a while. And it took me a while to get back into it over summer to get that fit and healthy again. So there's this relationship between how much we move, even at a low intensity, steady state kind of way, and how generally fit and healthy we're going to be. Not everything needs to be high intensity interval training or 90% of our 1 rep max strength training. Okay, those have very specific functions in the overall health and fitness goals that we might want to achieve. But this is why I always say it's about sleep, it's about nutrition, and it's about movement. It's not about training. Training is a part, a subset of movement, but generally throughout the day, if you were to add a 30-minute walk to your morning routine, just get out of bed and walk around for 30 minutes. Even you could walk in place in the living room for 30 minutes while watching the news or listening to a podcast or something. You just march in place and see that that heart rate goes up to, about 50-60% of your max heart rate. Those 30 minutes are already going to significantly improve your health and fitness outcomes over the course of a month or 2 months of applying them. The same thing happens when we walk, more in our day-to-day. We park the car 2 or 3 blocks away at the end of the day, at the start of the day. So we have to go there. We take stairs more often and more frequently. We make sure that we spend time outdoors 20-30 minutes a day, just walking around, or on a stationary bike, just biking, or on a bike outdoors actually. Oh my god, sorry, you have to see this. On a bike outdoor, actually thinking about things that we can generally do to stay fit and healthy. I just thought I would show you the sunrise. Let me take a step aside here. So just generally having, because that is quite beautiful, right? But generally having a bit more of activity that is, more than 2 minutes, right? So let's go for 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes at a time. Just to incorporate activities like that in our day, in our day-to-day, is going to help us in ways that we do not really realize. And the reason for this, and the reason that we underestimate the impact of low intensity steady state, is because we think we're doing it already. We honestly believe that we are more active than we actually are. And this is one of the prime insights that we need to have about our daily routines if we want to make a step change in how fit and active and healthy we are, is that the lifestyle that we currently have, the conveniences that we currently have, the way we transition from home to work, back to home, and the things that we spend our time on doing are actually counterintuitive to what we were made to do, which is to carry things around, to lift heavy things up, and carry them around, to move, to run, to jump, to crawl, to walk, to roam the areas that we live in, to connect and chat and talk with people, and to build relationships. And all of this is better served by us looking at how much we sit in a day and where we can actually find time and put in the effort to turn sitting into moving more. And it doesn't have to be super active. It doesn't have to be high intensity. It doesn't have to be focused on building strength or building endurance. You don't have to become a power lifter or a marathon runner. But the thing that you want to consider, the thing that you want to simply look at and think about is, let me just finish this sentence, is how moving more in general is going to impact our overall conditioning and health and fitness. All right, I'm going to just readjust the camera back to the other position. There we go. But that was a beautiful shot, I think, and I'm glad that we got to share that this morning. All right. So, and by the way, for those of you who are watching, if you want to say hi in chat, let me know. Let's see, are we still on camera? Yeah. Want to say hi in chat, you want to let me know how you're doing, where you're at in the world, what time it is, or just hit like or send some support my way. I would very much appreciate that. So I woke up this morning, and I wake up every day and I want to do something. I have one goal, and that is that in that first hour of the day, I want to be physically active, 30 minutes at least. So that could be some mobility, that could be some kettlebell lifting when I get back into that when my back will allow that. That could be a walk, which is what I've been doing. That could be any kind of physical activity that is simply going to allow me to stay fit and stay healthy, but also to just activate my body and mind and my systems, to jolt them to be awake and to be active, not only in that moment but for the rest of the day. So here I go to the gym and I stand on the Stairmaster for 30 minutes, very low intensity, very slow. Nothing is going to... Alien Thor, thank you. Hello to you as well. Thanks for dropping by, and I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world, and I hope life is treating you well. It is 6:55 a.m. for me. I'm about ready for my morning cup of coffee. I've been up for 2 hours at this point, of which I've had that, mosquito, I've had that 30 minutes of workout that I was talking about. It's just low intensity, and it is not at all designed to wear me out or to make me tired, but it is simply designed to help me feel stronger and fitter, not only in the moment, but also for the rest of the day. I honestly don't feel really good if I don't do some sort of movement routine, activate my body, activate my breathing, my mind, any kind of routine in the morning anymore. So, is it tedious? Yes, being consistent is tedious, all right? midnight in Texas. Texas. I love Texas. There's a couple of other Texans that drop by to watch the stream. I lived in a small place called Ben Wheeler for 2 summers when I was a teenager, which is right outside of Dallas Fort Worth. Well, right outside of, I think for you, an hour and a half or 2 hours away is right outside of. And I had a great time there. I really enjoyed it there. So I hope you're doing well in Texas. And I hope life is good there. And I hope you get a good night's sleep when you decide to go to bed. So yes, this is tedious because I show up every day and I do something, but I'm not bothered by it. Like, I don't have any negative affect to the low intensity steady state that I've been doing for the last month as I wait for my back to heal. I would like to have a bit more variety, so I'd like to bring back kettlebells, I would like to bring back swings, I would like to bring back that higher intensity, some heavier lifts. But I'm also mindful that my body needs to recover from the injury that it's had, and that I'm actually seeing quite a bit of benefits already immediately, but also in building that broader base. I think there's a lot to be said for incorporating a lot more. If daily 30 minutes is possible, that would be absolutely fantastic on top of the training that I'm doing. But if not, somewhat more regular, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, a slightly longer bout of this kind of steady state training and walking, because we're building that base of health and fitness, right? A lot of top athletes, I think, especially in endurance sports, invest in slow relative for them training with peaks to drive different kind of adaptations. And we can learn from that for our day-to-day, for our daily lives, all right? So I think we underestimate the long-term health impacts and the short-term health impacts that simply moving more, not training more, but just walking more, biking more, taking the stairs more frequently, doing any kind of thing that we might usually take the car for on foot, using our bodies to move around. Sure, things might take a bit longer, but overall we are going to be healthier for it. And I think we underestimate how big of an impact actually, adding 2 or 3 times 30 minutes throughout the day, or 90 minutes overall throughout the day. Those mosquitoes, man, throughout the day might help us actually get healthier and fitter. I hope this was useful. I will be back here tomorrow. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, showing up for movement and training every day, and trying to spend time with people I love and care about, doing things that I generally enjoy, and trying to live a stress-free life, sometimes with a beautiful view. If that interests you in any way and you want to continue having this conversation, you go ahead, check out my channel, maybe subscribe, and I will be back here tomorrow. Remember, friends, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. And it's the person we are today that's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way, especially some kindness towards ourselves. And remember, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So that being said, thank you, Paul, thank you, Alien Thor, for dropping by, and I will see you tomorrow. And remember, friends, subscribe. I'm just going to leave the stream on for a few seconds for you to enjoy the view and the sound of the sea. You're welcome, Alien Tour. Thanks so much for dropping by.